I think I've just found the most dramatic surrogacy Reddit story of the year. Surrogacy, family dynamics and boundaries. I'm pretty sure you don't want to miss that one. Alright, let's read it in. Am I the asshole for letting my boyfriend touch my surrogate bump, upsetting my sister? Hi Reddit. Last year, I am a 29-year-old female, agreed to be a surrogate for my sister, let's call her N, and her husband, both 27-year-old adults, due to a high likelihood of infidelity of my sister. They didn't have the funds to hire a surrogate, and I was essentially their only option since I'm close to them and have a child. A requirement to be a surrogate. I didn't love the idea at first, but after watching them struggle to conceive for the 2 years and with some light insistence from my sister, I agreed. They offered some compensation, but it seemed like it's maybe 30% of the normal costs. Fast forward to today, I'm 7 months along and everything has gone relatively well. My sister has been checking on me constantly, which I can't blame her for. However, a problem arose a couple of days ago. A few months ago, I met a guy at work, let's call him Mr. C. We hit it off and he has kids, so he doesn't mind my situation. Now that we've been together for a couple of months, I wanted to introduce him to my sister, so I set up a dinner for the three of us. Originally 4, but her husband couldn't make it. My sister picked me up, and as soon as I got in the chair, I felt like she was upset but didn't think much of it. We sat down at the restaurant and waited until C arrived. He greeted us with a kiss and rubbed my belly, nothing out of the ordinary. However, I saw that my sister's eyes were enlarged. I was confused, but I didn't say anything. The dinner was awkward. She played nice but was pretty quiet. When we left and got back to the car, she unloaded on me, saying it was weird that he kept touching my belly. I asked what she was talking about, and she said he basically had his hand on it for the whole time, and that it was super weird because it's her baby. I rolled my eyes and told her that regardless of it being her baby, it was my body, which only made her angrier. She hadn't talked to me in the last 2 days about this. I don't feel like she has any right to police physical intimacy between me and my boyfriend just because it's her baby I'm carrying. Look, I'm pregnant and I have a boyfriend. Obviously, he is going to touch my bump. There's an edit to the story. Just to clarify, the baby is not biologically mine. It's her and her husband. I'm a surrogate, but he touched my belly, and a lot more than just during their greeting basically. He had his hand on it the whole time we're not eating. He didn't think anything weird about it, but wanted to clarify. It's been over a month since my original post, and I was surprised by the interests. So I wanted to provide you an update. Sisters update. On the sisters front, all is well. We talked shortly after my post, working through some complicated emotions, but we're in a good place now. It's too long to explain here, but it had a happy ending and she's very excited to meet her baby next. Boyfriend's update. This situation went a bit differently. My commenters suggested that he had a pregnancy fetish, which I didn't know existed before my post. I considered it, but I wasn't convinced. He went on a work trip for about 3 weeks shortly after, so we didn't talk until he returned about a week and a half ago. When I finally saw him at his apartment, he instantly lifted my shirt and commented on how much bigger I'd gotten. It felt like a normal reaction at the time, but looking back, it was strange that he didn't greet me with a hug or kiss first. Later that night, we had dinner with one of my friends and I remained unaware of his actions. Afterwards, she asked, "Is that not exhausting for you?" I was confused and responded, "All the belly touching and comments? It doesn't seem too irregular." She pointed out how many jokes he made during the dinner, including calling me his overflated girlfriend. Hearing this from my sister, my friend, and Reddit made me click that maybe they were right. I had my friend drop me off at his place and I confronted him about it. I approached it calmly, asking if it was true. To my surprise, he said, "Yeah, I thought you knew. Sorry, I thought it was kind of obvious." We had a long talk. Well, I don't think a fetish is bad, and while his behavior was sometimes strange, it never upset me. I told him I would think about whether I wanted to continue seeing him, which he accepted and gave me space. I haven't reached out yet, but I'm considering it, as I enjoyed our last time together despite his disposition. Anyway, those are the updates. Hope you enjoyed this sort of happy ending for both. And now let's see what the commenters on Reddit had to say. First, many commenters were concerned about the Violet's boyfriends. They pointed out his constant touching of her belly and wondered if he had a pregnancy fetish. Some felt it was more than affection and worried about his intentions. Others said Violet should have set clear boundaries with him. They emphasized that during pregnancy or surrogacy, these boundaries are very important, especially since Violet is carrying her sister's baby. A lot of people felt she needed to discuss that, not comfortable with her boyfriend. Lastly, many commenters focus on the sister's relationship. They urged Violet to talk openly with her sister, and this was a complicated situation for both of them. Clear communication seemed like the key to resolution of this intention. Let's see what the opinion of Reddit is. Around 40 to 50% of commenters were on Violet's side. They felt it was her body and her choice who touched it. They thought her boyfriend's behavior was fine as long as Violet was comfortable with it. About 25 to 30% of commenters were concerned about the boyfriend's actions, suggesting he might have a fetish. They felt that Violet needed to consider this before moving forward with the relationship. The remaining 20 to 35% were more neutral, focusing on the complexity of the situation and the need for communication between everyone involved. Let me know what you think about this story. Interesting, oh? It's complicated, emotional, it's about boundaries and about how do you sort this out, right? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, comment. This is the ultimate relationship dilemma story. Am I an asshole for telling my boyfriend that his dreams of becoming a successful streamer or content creator isn't going to work out the way he thinks? I'm posting this on throwaway because I don't want this drama on my main body mod account. I'm a tattoo artist and I co-own a tattoo business. We're open 6 days a week from 1 p.m. to midnight, with 4 days for appointments and 2 walk-in days. I commute 45 minutes each day. Usually, getting home past 3 a.m., I have just 1 day off doing things. My boyfriend is trying to become a successful Twitch streamer or YouTuber. He started around 4 years ago, but he only has a few dozens of followers and gets 2 to 5 views per stream. For over 2 years, he's been streaming for 11 to 13 hours daily. He quit his job as a Walmart floor manager to pursue this, but hasn't earned any income from it. Meanwhile, I cover all our bills and groceries. I've suggested he cut back on streaming hours to help around the house, spend time with me and take better care of himself. He doesn't even eat unless I remind him. I also asked him to consider finding a job so I'm not paying for everything. Every time I bring it up, he gets defensive and he's insisting I don't understand his lifestyle and how hard it is to be a content creator. He usually has a tantrum and returns to streaming for his supportive community. The other day, I told him that his dreams of becoming a successful content creator just aren't going the way he thinks they would. He's putting in hours that harm both of us. He got angry and said he wanted a break from the relationship. Now we're not talking and he's still doing his usual routine. Am I an asshole? Alright, let's check what the Reddit commenters have to say. The majority of the commenters were supportive of the tattoo artist. Many felt it was completely fair for her to want him to contribute more, especially when she was working so hard to pay the bills. One commenter said, "You can't be the only one putting the weight in the relationship." There were also concerns about the boyfriend's health and well-being. A lot of people pointed out that streaming for hours on the end isn't just sustainable. A viewer said, "Ignoring basic needs for a dream isn't healthy. He needs to take better care of himself." Finally, there were a lot of commenters who focused on communication. Many felt the boyfriend's defensiveness showed deeper issues in the relationship. One person said, "A healthy relationship needs honest conversations, no tantrums or avoidance." Is the original poster right or wrong? About 85% of comments were supportive of the tattoo artist's actions. Most felt she was right to bring the tough truth about his streaming career, but a small group, about 10 to 15%, thought she might have been too harsh in the way she handled it. What would you have done in this situation? Let us know in the comments. If you've ever been in a challenging students project, this story is for you. Let's read it in. Am I an asshole for not helping to defend my group project partner against our professor who wants to fail her for not contributing? I am in a computer science course in college focused on operating systems. I was assigned a random group project partner, a 20-year-old female, and we worked on this project for most of the semester. We decided that she would handle the core parts while I would create plugin modules dependent on her core components. However, since she implemented her parts in a complicated way, I struggled to understand them. When I couldn't get it to work, she had to redo her section. This led to an argument during which she insisted her work wasn't complicated. I then hired a tutor who advised me on the project and suggested that it would be easier to complete the Rust instead of C++. She agreed to redo the project in Rust if I converted everything we do so far. She would help with the last part. We received permission from the professor to switch to Rust. The tutor helped me to convert her code, which counted as my part. When it came time to work on the final part, she said she didn't have time to collaborate because she was unfamiliar with Rust and had a ballet competition in the weekend of the deadline. She offered to finish the C++ version, but I told her it was fine. I completed the project with the tutor's help and submitted it. Since all the Rust code was written by me, I noted in the statement of contribution that I did all the coding and she contributed to the design process and report. However, the professor interrupted that as her not contributing at all, resulting in her receiving a 0 on the project, which would lead to her failing the class since it constituted 70% of the grade. Now she wants me to talk to the professor with her and is upset that I refuse. I feel it's not my problem and I don't want to face any trouble. She already informed the professor that she completed the earlier C++ code we didn't submit. Am I an asshole here? She's very upset and seems to blame me when it's ultimately the professor's decision. Alright, let's see what the Reddit commenters had to say. A lot of commenters actually supported the student for reaching out for help when he needed it. They said it's smart to ask for help instead of struggling alone. Others pointed that clear communication is key. One said, if you had set expectations from the beginning, this could have been avoided. But many also said he could have framed his contributions better in the report. One commenter actually suggested, make sure everyone's work is acknowledged properly to avoid future issues. And now the reveal time. About 85% of people think he's an asshole. You're an asshole, they write, for not helping his partner, especially since the tutor did most of the work. And only 5% believe he acted reasonably, not being an asshole, saying it's not his fault that the professor made the decision. The remaining 10% remain mixed or neutral views. Do you think the guy or his partner could have turned it into a more collaborative project than it used to, and more collaborative communication that it eventually turned out to be? Leave your thoughts in the comments.